if you're talking about like not be on some disrespectful shit, sure. Ain't nobody trying to, be disrespectful, but if you trying to say, hey, don't troll nobody, like you invited the wrong nigga for that. So
We live, y'all.
it definitely about to be some trolling. So
What you
All right,
were
so we
talking about?
live.
How people emotional feelings towards the election.
you
No,
damn
so
right.
we got the topics lined up. We as we all know, Donald Trump is the next president.
Gang.
Yeah, well, yeah, next.
Yeah.
Yeah, you live
Official.
already?
You said what?
I
You
said
live
it's
already?
official.
We live. We live.
All
We
right,
live.
all right, bet. Yeah, I was
Now, the
wondering
reason
when I
for
could
this
start acting a
live-
fool.
You said what?
I was wondering when I could start acting a fool. So I was trying to play it cool at first, but
You're gonna have your time. You're gonna have your moment. So the crazy thing is, I know a lot of people are gonna be upset and like, damn, how did Donald Trump? He's been impeached twice. He's a felon. He got accused of this. How is he our president again? Well, as research shows, y'all did not vote. So we did a lot of research, and the number one turnout was older Caucasian people. And we looked at a lot of those things. So, but the first thing we're going to talk about is why did Trump win? So, if you look at the voter demographics by race and age, it was mostly white voters and older voters, and that was the turnout. And then we got the blacks, the Latinos, and the Asian community mostly voted Democrat, but not all of them voted Democrat, and then not all of them voted. But when it comes to the white and the older crowd, majority of them voted early, and majority of them voted Republican. So, you're going to start seeing them posts. I don't already start seeing them. Don't be mad now. Oh, I don't want to hear it now, because y'all should have went out there and voted. So the biggest issue is we got, let's say, the age 18 through 29 voter turnout. The non-voting percentage is like 60%, sometimes higher, for the 18 through 29. And I mean, personally myself, I didn't vote much during that age either. And given the reason why people don't vote around that age is because we don't really know much about it. It says inexperience with the voting process, a lack of motivation, or living situations. So college students. I don't really know how much I agree with that. Between 30 and
I can
30,
tell you.
Go
I
ahead.
can tell you right now, this data is gonna steer. It's gonna steer people wrong because I mean, there's data that suggests what the real reasons are, but from what I've seen, most of the people are not. They're just not listening. Like the people who aren't listening to the Democrats, they're the main ones who act like they're like the experts, like the fake news, like MSDNC. They got some real smart pollsters and people over there, CNN, but they want to keep talking about all these demographics and stuff, and they don't understand the data because it basically shows them that Kamala was supposed to win according to their data, but they retarded because I'll tell you another thing that the data showed. It showed that black men, they was getting around like what 75% for Harris, whereas before for Biden it was like 90%. Black women, they was getting about in the 80s, somewhere in the 80s.
Yeah,
in polls.
her highest voter was black women, and then women.
Yeah, but it was for Joe Biden it was 95%.
Yep. She
For
did
Joe
worse
Biden.
than
For
Joe
Kamala
Biden.
Harris, it was like in the 80s. It was like less than 85%. So it's like a 10-point difference. And the same thing now for the Hispanic voters. I can't quote the numbers, but the point is this: all of the polls were showing this for a long time, and then they also asked the reason. Well, what's the reason? The economy, the prices, the border, right? Like the number one and two issues in the middle and on the right was the economy number one and the border number two. So what did Democrats do? Well, they just try to pretend that the economy was good, which was a stupid strategy.
That's where she lost her support. So, according to the data, she lost a lot of her support from people she had because they kept instead talking about LGBTQ. They kept talking about abortion rights and things of that sort instead of talking about taxes and shit that business owners wanted to hear about. You know, like she was too much pandering to just women, and she was making it more of a women versus men thing. And then you got the stupid shit she was doing, like Meg Thee Stallion twerking, and then Cardi B with the telephone.
Cardi B.
Yeah, so like we were
Cardi
discussing
B.
that today. Like,
1 second.
yeah, like
Hold on, guys.
Like, bruh.
But why would she go that
because
direction?
she's pandering to certain people. But what you got to understand is the people you pandering to, and we talked about this earlier. All of us not stupid. You know what I mean? So even all those women that you think gonna be like, oh, go Meg, I'm gonna vote for Kamala, or go Cardi. Some of them are just like, bitch, you think I'm stupid? You know what I'm saying? Like, why you not talking about what's real? So you losing support on that. You know what I'm saying? Because Donald Trump ain't pandering. He like, we gonna do this, we gonna do that, we gonna do this, we gonna get rid of the immigrants. We gonna goddamn bring more jobs.
My G, I could tell you real easily why them celebrity endorsements probably didn't do almost anything. Because the people that's the easiest to influence is young adults and
they
young
not
women.
voting.
Yes, and young women in particular. And all of those musicians, like the ones that are older, that's not going to really influence nobody to go vote. And the ones that are younger, the younger generation they don't vote as much, so they're not just going to see Meg Thee Stallion and then just go vote because Meg Thee Stallion's out there. So it just wasn't a good strategy. That's why they had like a whole slew. It's like it's a big old list of people. And you would think if that was effective, then this was a landslide for Kamala. But clearly it
But
wasn't.
that's the proven point, because if the top amount of votes came from older white people, who is Meg Thee Stallion to them?
Exactly.
So that was a waste of money and a waste of resources.
Well,
And
hold on, man. That's why they had Tampon Tim Walz. Okay, he's a shooter. He shoot his gun. He's gonna go ahead and get the masculine men, right? This is the face of masculinity. Okay, and then let's not forget about second gentleman Doug. Okay, Mr. beat Kamala's husband. Mr. beat on his ex-girlfriend and got his old nanny pregnant.
I don't
Okay.
never have enough research for Rashad, bro. I don't never have enough research.
Like,
for him, man.
yeah, like this dude. So the fake news covered this up. They had Doug had an allegation that he had beat an ex-girlfriend of his, and he had another allegation. Well, this wasn't an allegation. This is actually factual. The next thing, totally true, that he got his nanny pregnant. He had admitted to that. In the past, this was prior to Kamala being around. This is in his previous life. But these are the people, like now he's all Mr. Beta male. You know, he's phony. I don't even think the dude's a real, I don't even think some of these beta males be real beta males, but Tim, I think is. Like, this dude is soft. And I mean, Mr. Spirit Hands, like, how the hell, like, this is what I want to know. Because there's so many black men that supported Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Well, they were kind
How
of.
the hell you see this dude? Like, bruh, this dude is he's such a, like, all of these, like, this dude is a creep. He's a freakazoid. So if you a black dude, how you see this dude and you think, oh, I want to go vote for that?
Yeah.
They clearly went about it totally the wrong way. But they wasted a lot of money if they thought that was gonna work. I mean, I don't even see how you thought that was gonna work anyway.
So
I mean,
yeah,
honestly-
What about Shapiro, the
I was
dude who,
just
Mr. Pennsylvania, the governor of ex-governor of Pennsylvania?
yeah.
Or is he current governor? I know he's the governor of Pennsylvania, and they were trying to pick him as top pick for VP. I was sweating before, but when I was like, man, they pick him. Shapiro's tough. You listen to him speak; he's tough. And even with gaslighting, he does it in a way where it's like it's hard to kind of challenge him on it. So I was like, yeah, they picked this dude. Trump might be in trouble. At the last minute, they sidelined him because they a bunch of anti-Semites afraid of the whole Free Palestine, pro-Hamas crowd. They were so scared of those people, they managed to piss off the Jews and the Arabs, so they didn't get none of them. I'm like, y'all are stupid.
Yeah, so I don't know what where she made the wrong turn, because she did have momentum and she had the popularity, and that's why everybody is surprised that she lost. But
that was head in the sand, my G. Head in the sand.
right,
Her momentum was just, it wasn't about her. It was never
it was
Kamala
because
Grace.
of Biden.
Exactly.
Yeah, Mario made that point earlier.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Like, she wouldn't have even been in the conversation. And so, like, I just listened to on the radio when I was on the way back home that her saying, you know, I congratulated Trump on his win, and I think we did a lot in the short term to break the glass ceiling. So, first of all, you can't
Hillary
even
Clinton
say you
did better.
did a lot in the short term because you've been in office for 4 years.
Exactly.
People keep forgetting that she is currently the vice president. So, it's like, what are you doing?
Well, you know, I've seen
She was
people
so-
argue with me.
She was so quiet as a vice president. I think people forgot because you didn't really hear from her. Vice
But, I
president.
mean, but people try to argue like, oh, she's just the vice president. And I'm like, that's got to be one of the stupidest things. You're in the second most powerful position in the world,
Exactly.
and you're telling me you're trying to. Let me get this straight. Donald Trump is not the president, but it's his fault when things do and don't happen in Congress. But Kamala Harris is a vice president, but nothing's her fault when it goes
No
wrong.
power.
Like that's what they're trying to convince you of, is a vice president. And she cast tie-breaking votes for two bills, the American Rescue Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act. American Rescue Plan ended up being a glorified Green New Deal, where they just stopped all of this basically gas production and trying to go green. It was a woke. They hid the details in the bill, titled it some other bullshit. Inflation Reduction Act, same thing. Glorified Ukraine funding bill. And all that they did was waste a bunch of money, increase inflation to fulfill woke leftist ideology. They betrayed voters. They lied to them. Every bill they push is like this. The Democrats,
So, hold
all
on.
of them. are like
I
this.
got a question for you, Rashad, because I was asking somebody this in Discord earlier, and basically they were saying that Trump, I was like, did he do the job as a president? Like, did he do the job successfully? Because I don't like him as a person. We've already got that, but it's about a job. And so I said, did he do the job? And someone said no. Now, this was the first time somebody had said no, and the way they explained it kind of made sense. He said, beyond doing the presidential duties, it is also your job to like promote togetherness and unity as a country. And he said Donald Trump himself represents like diverse, like he's inciting negativity. You know what I'm saying? Like with some of the careless things he says. And so I feel like that's a valid point. You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
I don't agree with that point. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I watch every type of news that exists. I watch Fox, MSDNC. I watch CNN. I watch Young Turks. I watch all of them. I read a bunch, like Associated Press, Washington Post, whatever. And majority of the media is against Trump. The division started under Obama because a lot of conservatives didn't like Obama, and division started there. Donald Trump wasn't able to even get elected because of Obama. And it got worse when Donald Trump was elected, not just because Trump says crazy stuff, because if you look at a lot of stuff he says, they lie about everything Trump says. He wants to execute Liz Cheney. He wants to terminate the Constitution. Lie. Everything they say about him is a lie. So when they say, oh, he's he's divisive, they did word counts from the DNC versus RNC. Who said what? With Donald Trump, he just talked about what he was going to do for the country, the border, whatever. Kamala Harris Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Everything they counted the amount of times, it was like 300 times or something that she said Donald Trump's name in a speech that wasn't even that long, or not her, but at the DNC, it was like they counted everybody who said his name, and they counted Kamala how many times she said his name. So they all talked about Project 2025, bunch of bullshit. They all talked about Donald Trump the whole time. And then Joe Biden out here calling Trump supporters garbage so much to the point where this fool hops in a garbage truck to prove that, hey, we're not garbage. The whole point of like being divisive is something that is definitely the pot calling the kettle black. They're calling him Hitler. They're saying the supporters are Nazis. Everybody's racist, misogynistic. Obama's shaming you and me and Mark. Like he's shaming everybody. Everybody on this damn call.
Did you do research on that Hitler thing? Because I had to look that up and look at the comparisons.
On all of it, yeah.
Yeah, so I get that comparison, but I know it's a reach. You know what I mean? Like,
of course, because Hitler was a human that lived. He spoke words. Words overlap. Like, it's give me a fucking break. Other people said stuff that
ideology and a lot of the stuff that
Madison Square Garden
wanted to rule though. That stuff was very Hitlerish. You know what I mean? Like it was very the same, like the control part of it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't believe that he meant it in the way that they tried to bend it.
Well, okay,
that's the issue with that.
How does a president rule with the executive branch? What does Trump want to do? He wants to does he just want to dismantle some agencies? Yes, because the Constitution don't have nothing about no 3-letter agencies in it.
But that's the problem that's coming with. That's what people are worried about. So when you get to that whole Hitlerish, then we get into the stuff that he promised he's going to do, which we researched earlier, which is removing some of the liability from police, remove them getting monitored, remove them like being prosecuted for how they treat people and stuff like that. Like and I did research on like, you know, what is the legal amount of force that an officer can use, which is a very gray area. And then there's a lot of like fucking broken shit in the laws that protect you as a citizen when you excessive use of force is basically what I'm talking about.
I can tell you why this don't matter. I'm gonna tell you why it don't matter.
Okay.
And people be like, what? It don't matter. Like, okay, calm down, everybody. Not y'all, but you know how people is.
Yeah.
The law, even absolute immunity is not absolute because it depends upon whether or not a constitutional right is violated. If it is found that a constitutional right is violated, then you can sue the officer. You cannot throw out a case because that's what happens normally. It's like, oh, the officer hurt me, they killed somebody, did something crazy. And then they'll throw the case out. Oh, they got immunity. They throw the case out. For the record, a lot of officers already have this. A lot of people don't know that, but they do. Most government officials across the whole United States have immunity of some kind because that's just how they have it because they don't want people to just sue the government into oblivion. But if you violate a constitutional right of some kind, then yes, they can still get sued. It's the law, so they're not going to throw it out. That's how it's written. So it's not a catch-all where you just ain't never going to be able to sue for anything.
So I have a question. I have a statement towards that, I guess. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I watched all of Trump's speeches and things that he said, but I do remember like seeing a clip about when he did say that. But did he elaborate and go into it like you just did to express on how it works or how it would work? Or he just did a blanket statement.
At that moment, no, but he's been asked about it like a bunch of times, and yes, he did explain detail, but he did not explain it in the level of detail that I explained it, no. But he did say that, well, you can't just break laws if you're a police officer and then just nothing happens. Like, of course, if you do something wrong, then, you know, you're going to be held accountable to the law. But he was like, you also can't just sue a police officer like, oh, some accident happens, somebody gets killed, and, you know, he's protecting himself and he just goes to jail. So that's how he explained it. The way I explained it was specifically addressing the point because I know everybody's like obsessed thinking that cops is going to be out here just bang, bang and just having a good old time. But what people don't realize is that it's not realistic to think that a police officer just ride down the street. Oh, there's a group of ninjas over there, just pow pow, like they gonna do a drive by and then they're just good to go. Like that's just unrealistic.
I mean, I think it's kind of what's unrealistic in today's time is really gray, to say this, so to speak, because it's because a lot of things that we thought was unrealistic has happened within the last 5 to 8 years. Because like if you would have asked me, was Trump ever going to be a president? No, like in the very beginning, everybody kind of considered it like a joke. I mean, it was like he was going to run for president because he's not a politician. It was like you're not a politician. You can't.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? A lot of situations have happened where I guess in today's even him being impeached and then becoming a convicted felon and then become a president again seems like something that should have been impossible. Like if nobody would have thought this was possible until it happened today.
Well, I'll go back to Sed's point real quick because you mentioned Trump's personality. So I didn't like Trump's personality at first either, but it was because everything I heard about him was a bunch of bullshit. It was a bunch of falsehoods, a bunch of lies by the news media. When I actually saw what happened, I'm like, dude, I saw when the shooting happened. I wasn't there, but I was watching the rally. And I was like, oh shit, I thought they got him. And literally yesterday, I did a live stream, and when I saw he was about to win, I sat there and prayed on this live stream, and I said, this man went through so much and got back up. He didn't cower and bitch out. He got up and immediately started talking about fight. And said, I'm still going to go on to be president. I don't care if y'all take me off the ballot. I don't care if I'm getting shot at. I don't care if y'all trying to lock me up. I'm going to fucking do it. That's what a real man does. And not just any man. He's a special type of a leader because he was defeated previously and he came back through all of that shit and came back again and still won. That's some G shit. So I got respect for him for that.
He defied all the odds.
That's what I'm saying. So people like, well, Kamala Harris did just like, shut the hell up. She didn't do shit. She got handed her VP position, and then she got handed the spot to become the president. She didn't even earn it.
I mean, I'm not going to argue that, but I mean, even I would definitely say that it's kind of like even though those are admirable traits, like I said, as far as a person. I guess in a sense, a lot of people feel like that doesn't mean it gives you a pass on the things, on the other things that you've done. Like just because you did go through this whole assassination attempt, survived and stuff like that, fight, and you still stuck in the race, don't make it okay that you said you want to grab women by the pussy. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like
or making fun of mentally challenged people. The crazy part is that he's been impeached twice. He's been accused of all this stuff, and he has pending charges. But now that he has won the election, he won't get tried for those charges.
They just dropped some of those, actually. Jack Smith was fired.
Bruh, first time in history somebody has evaded charges by just, you know what, I'm going to just be the president.
But to one of your points, the whole thing with the mentally disabled person, like there's a specific story where they said he made fun of a mentally disabled person. I don't believe that that's true because I looked into the details of it, and Trump always used to like make these crazy gestures. He directly addressed it. He said that he didn't know somebody was disabled, and then they started saying he's making fun of it. He was like, why the hell would I do that if you know that I'm on camera, everybody's looking at me? That doesn't make sense. But he said, since I've been in trouble for this, I'm just gonna do something like more subtle rather than being over the top, because he was on TV and stuff, so he used to be over the top. He's like, well, I'm now be less over the top. And there was something else. They just said, I can't remember what it was, but I know you said grab by the pussy. Okay. Donald Trump was, again, that was back when he was on television, and in that case, he actually was in a private conversation. Now, I don't know what all y'all say in private conversations, but I say a lot of crazy stuff in private conversations. So if imagine somebody records you, you don't even probably remember something you said, and then they're like, "Nah, Mario, you're disqualified from presidency because you said something kind of crazy a long time ago." Like, and Trump is old as hell. He's like in his upper 70s, like 78, 79. Imagine somebody go back to when you was like 18, like, "Nah, Mario, you said something crazy to one of your boys one time, so you can't be president." Like, that's the type of standard y'all holding this man to.
I mean, I'm not holding him to that standard.
Well,
I'm just saying
somebody is.
somebody is definitely is. But I was just saying, as far as like, you know, as far as even though that was a private conversation, I guess since the conversation we were having was how, like, what you like about the person or Trump, I guess, personality wise, even though that was a private conversation, that is a part of his character as far as who he is. And I can understand if somebody dislikes it. It don't even have to be Trump. It can be almost anybody, and especially in a position of power. And I can understand why people would dislike this person because of that. I'm not saying they're disqualified for that, but I think they're within their right to not like them. And even if they do have an admirable trait, I can understand that, you know, if somebody just did dislike them because of that, because their feeling is overpowering the good qualities.
You said they dropped some of the charges. Did they drop the voter tampering charge?
Voter tampering?
So remember that he had that whole charge
About the electors thing?
Yeah, the suspicion of all that. Is that one of the ones?
So I mean, he had a lot of like similar type of charges. In Georgia, it was conspiracy to overturn the election, and there was fake electors. I forget what jurisdiction that was in, but there's no such thing as fake electors, but that's what they called it. And then there was insurrection charge. They tried to get him on. I believe the one that was dropped was insurrection, and then there was like one other one. There was two of them.
Okay.
But one of them for sure was an insurrection charge, and they dropped that one. The one out of Georgia was about conspiring to overturn the election results.
Now that's the one
illegally.
that I thought they kind of had some proof on, but they were working on that one. The insurrection, I would say his attitude may have incited it, but he's not directly responsible.
I mean, insurrection is a specific word. There's nothing that qualifies it as an insurrection at all.
Okay.
Because an insurrection is known as like a violent revolt to actually a serious attempt to overthrow a government. That's not what this is. This wasn't an attempt to First off, it was a protest. Then the Capitol Police. I got a whole playlist on YouTube about it. Black and Only Rise. A whole playlist on it. The people at the protest, the police, the Capitol Police started shooting rubber bullets and smoke bombs at them, pissing the people the fuck out. They just got their ass kicked in some bullshit mail-in election. So they already mad. They already protesting. And then you shooting bullets and stuff at them. They was fucking people up too.
You're going to have to send me that playlist because I need that information to be public because don't nobody have that side. I've never heard that side of the story.
I'm surprised and I'm kind of sad, but at least I'm glad that the damn election is over and Trump won. But this is still good information to know because everybody keeps saying insurrection. Only reason anybody said that is because they saw the story.
Because media.
That's what I'm talking about. That's literally one of my main purposes and why I'm going so hard on this stuff is because I know exactly everything that they said about Trump, insurrection, convicted felon, like all that Stormy Daniels stuff. Like I know like the details around most things. Like I done learned so much shit, I done forgot a bunch of it at this point. But the video is proof and evidence.
I want to get back to this about the what his plans are. So with that whole police thing, so Project 2025, I know you've been seeing that everywhere. And there's a lot of people want to post there and say, all right, I don't want to hear no crime when Project 2025 come out since y'all voted for Trump. But I know a lot of people posting this don't know what Project 2025 is. And I didn't even know the specifics of it. I'll admit that on live. So
it's like a damn 900-page document.
Exactly. So that's how I know, because niggas don't read. That's how I know that they don't know what the hell it is. So I looked it up, and this specific part about the police thing, though, is really weird. So the immunity is a major point of concern because it makes it difficult for victims of police misconduct to hold officers accountable, a situation that often disappropriately impacts black communities and other marginalized groups. Critics argue that by expanding or fortifying these protections, Project 2025 would likely reduce accountability, therefore complicating efforts to address police misconduct and reform within the criminal justice system. Now, it's already pretty rough. Like, we was looking up the who was it, Eric Garner earlier?
Yeah.
Looking up his little situation, and that officer didn't get charged, even though he did what was a hold that was against the department's rules and regulations. So he did lose his job, but he didn't get charged. And then I think they tried him for something else involved with the same thing. He didn't get charged. And then the family got some money, which is a spit in the face. It's a spit in the mouth. So it's just like looking at something like that. If that can happen, the whole situation being recorded and this man being killed on camera, what the fuck's gonna happen now? If that can happen on camera.
Well, before you get, I guess, too deep into the specifics, because that's always going to be.
That's a one-off example.
Yeah, there's always going to be some details to cover there, but there's something that kind of nullifies part of the entire conversation with Project 2025. That's not Trump's agenda. Project 2025 actually they started writing that a long time ago. I don't even know when, but I know it was way before 2025. And Donald Trump actually has his own agenda. It's called Agenda 47. He actually had published that, I believe, before Project 2025 was published.
Okay.
And Agenda 47 is on his website. He has written transcript and video of every single policy position over every single issue all over his website. And as new stuff came up, he added new stuff to it. Project 2025 is on a totally different website. It's run by developed by the Heritage Foundation developed Project 2025. Donald Trump is not part of the Heritage Foundation. And they try to say, well, he had associates that wrote Project 2025. Who you know who else is an associate? All of you guys. If y'all write some shit, that don't mean I got shit to do with it. So it's bullshit logic, guys. It's bullshit. It's stupid. Like, these people are retarded. When they try to convince people of this stuff, they're lying.
It's Agenda 47. Agenda 47?
Yeah, Agenda 47.
I just want to research that later. Agenda 47.
Yeah, it's all there. It's definitely not going anywhere.
Okay.
Now, in regard to the police, now to your point, to the police thing, Donald Trump does support the police immunity, so I'm definitely not denying that. So, and could that lead to bad situations? Yeah, I agree that it could lead to bad situations. But do I think that alone is enough for me to be really concerned? I honestly don't think so, no.
All right, so there's another thing with what we're going to call his promises. So the tax cuts is another big thing that swayed some conversation and support. But the issue with the tax cuts is that it could lead to a huge increase in our country's debt in the future. So he's saying he's going to cut a lot of taxes right now, which, I mean, it's going to help us. But in the future, it's going to screw us.
Well, there's a couple things here. Tariffs. So Trump brought in money with tariffs.
Okay.
And was lowering the deficit. The only reason the deficit went up under his administration is because of the way it ended with COVID. So he actually was lowering it at first with tariffs. In regard to what you're referring to with the lowering of taxes, the idea is to bring a bunch of jobs back to America.
Right.
And to have people do less offshoring and you bring more money into America. It's kind of like a domino effect. So even tax breaks for cars and stuff that's built in America, like if we buy a car and they build in America, we get the tax break. Like crazy stuff, revolutionary stuff. So when you put it all together, what they do is they silo one. What they do is they silo one thing. Oh, if he does this one thing, it's gonna screw everything. It's like, okay, well, put all the stuff he said together, and it doesn't. It's not one or two things. It's a whole system.
It's a whole package. I get that.
Yeah, and when you do that, then the deficit is good.
Because, like, the bringing new jobs to America thing, I need to just kind of understand that more, because I think we all have jobs.
Well, no. I can explain it. I can explain it real quick, because I know we almost out of time. So China basically has almost like what's the equivalent of slave labor. Is in some places they actually have real slave labor, including parts of Africa. So you cannot compete with the labor force. You got to pay people in America a high wage. Then what they do is they just have the jobs done somewhere else, like China or something, and then they ship the stuff in, and they have such a low price. If somebody's trying to employ people in America, they just can't compete with the price and the workforce. It's basically how they built America off slave labor. They're doing the same thing in other
That's
places.
why Alibaba exists. So yeah, for sure.
Yes, exactly. So, the Timu and all that. But yeah, so the idea is to make it where it's impossible for them to use slave labor. That's why they got them. He wants them high ass tariffs. Like, well, y'all trying to do some slave labor shit? We're gonna have a tariff so fucking high it don't matter, and you basically have to bring jobs to America. People here are gonna work. The money's gonna stay here. The jobs are gonna stay here.
But back to that though, we all got jobs, and then also the second thing
we're a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't have jobs. Like the auto industry.
That's crazy to me because there's jobs out here. I still don't.
There's specific trades. Manufacturing is a big thing.
Yep. That's what he's bringing, right? He's bringing more manufacturing.
That's his big thing, especially in Michigan, because they have a bunch of auto plants and stuff.
But that's something that I feel like AI can do, and that was another thing that I know it's a little off topic, but it matters because it's a part of today's world. AI is getting bigger and bigger. We got the Tesla robot out here. We got the sex robot. We got all this stuff going on. I'm just saying, but.
We're still not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, at fast food, they there.
True.
And you got the Amazon store that don't require anybody to work there. It just automatically. You see what I'm saying?
No, you know why that is? It's because they keep trying to increase the wages. You got illegal migrants who can work at some of these places. They legalize, they get them work authorization and stuff.
But that's the second con of the tax cuts is listed as wealth inequality, and which I mean we are seeing. Bruh, I did the research. You know that there are so many millionaires in the U.S. There are millions of millionaires, but then there's millions of people who are fucking in poverty. And there's we were just talking in Discord this morning. There are mobs of homeless people. Like there's still a homeless problem, and there's millions of millionaires. So I mean, yeah, there are people without jobs. Oh fuck. The time. Oh, well, I should probably stop the live.